So this is the Filofax Portland. I've a few months ago I reviewed the pocket version of this and also the personal version, which is the Portland Grand, which is the one with the 30mm rings. But I've never actually reviewed the Filofax mini version of the Portland. So why am I doing this? Well, I was looking on social media and I was having a chat with someone about this, and I thought, do you know what, I will it's in my it's one of the Filofaxes I have I need to review at some point, and I thought I would bring it to the front and because I've recently had this conversation. So when was the Portland made? Well, it was in the catalogue, and I've got a link in the description to the Filofaxy website catalogue page. Very good resource where you can find out these things. And according to the catalogues that I've seen, this was this was certainly available in the UK here in the catalogues in 96, 97, 98, I think 1999. So about 4 years. So this is at least 20 years old. I did try and have a look at the date code, but I it's just too faint. I can't be sure. So 96, 97, 98, 99, and it's in terms of price, it was mid-range. But I actually think the Portlands, I mean, even though I am a fan of vintage Filofaxes, and by vintage I mean Filofaxes that were English made back in the day, although from I mean, I could do a video purely on my personal definition of vintage, but I'm not going to do that. But I actually am very, very fond of some models that were made after production moved out of the UK and elsewhere in the world, and one of those models is the Portland. And I want to give you a comparison between two models that I like very much, and they're both mini size. Here we go. So this is the Portland's, this is the Guildford Mini Extra Slim, and I want you to look at the leather. First of all, let's have a look at, I mean, even though there's a major problem with this, it is my favourite. It is my favourite mini version. There are two Filofaxes I really, really love. And one is the Filofax Sherwood, made in England, and then here's the Filofax Guildford Mini Extra Slim, which was not made in England. It was made at a later date. I think it was made for 1 year between 2007 and 2008, so not very old, but look at the state of the leather here. So it's a very, very thin. And when I mean thin, I mean the leather is so thin that if you get a paintbrush, if you get this wet and then you get a stiff paintbrush and move it in circular motions, all this leather just dissolves away. I've got another Guildford, which is a personal size slimline Guildford, and that I've just exercised the paintbrush and completely removed all the interior leather, because it's just very, 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 very. Well, I actually like the man-made substrate to which it is bonded, rather than the actual leather itself. I mean, it just looks appalling, doesn't it? But you compare that to the to the Portland here. There is no problem at all. Both of them have. It's a different sort of leather, as you can tell, but the leather on both the exterior and the interior on the Portland is fantastic, absolutely fantastic. There are no problems at all. Obviously, you've got the indentations for the rings, but that's indicative of the fact that it's been well used. But even though it's been well used, the leather is really nice. You've got a lines pocket on both sides, and then you've got these 3 card slots. I use this as a wallet. It's perfect, specifically because it has this full back pocket, full width back pocket, and it's great. It's great. I'm not a fan of pen loops and these fastening straps, but this one has it. The pen loop is nothing to write home about. In fact, this particular one, for some reason, is very, very loose. So this is a Filofax pen, and it's just the pen would fall out. It's that loose. So I don't know whether it's a manufacturing defect, but in this particular model, it's extremely loose. There's a lot of play there. It's not quite loose enough to fit my favourite G2 Pilot G2 pen, but nevertheless, it is loose. And I don't like what I do like about it. I'm not a fan of pen loops at all, but if you're going to have one, I'm really pleased that it is an outbound one. The quality is really, really good. So I prefer them pointing outwards rather than inwards, because then they won't affect the potentially the tabs. One thing I don't like is the fact that the leather is folded over, so it could snag over time if the stitching comes undone. If you're going to have a pen loop, I would personally have it so it's just one single piece of quality leather rather than a piece that's extra slim, extra thin, and just folded over. But there we go, and we've got the. You can see it there. You can see. I can't. Obviously, there is an. It might be. God, it looks like. Let's see if I can get it in focus. There we go. Don't know. You can see that because it's quite blocky. Is that an O or an A? The one on the right is an H, but I don't know. Could it be a D? Could the middle be be a D or a 0? Hard to tell. So unfortunately, it doesn't really. I mean, not that the dates can be definitive anyway, but it's a nice piece. It's a nicely made binder. Still has the existing. I don't know whether it's original. Probably is original. The plastic popper cover. It just feels really, really good in the hands. Quality. I noticed that all these Portland models have this particular type of leather that gets easily dented and marked. But I'm inclined to think that that's a sign of the leather's quality. It feels more like, I mean, they're both leather, this particular one and my Guildford Mini Extra Slim, but the Guildford Mini Extra Slim on the right here is it has kind of I'm sure it is leather, but it has a sort of grain that's sort of more a sort of manufactured grain. That's what it looks like. Whereas this Portland, it has a sort of leather that feels more substantial in some way. Obviously, I'm keen on the flatability, and it's difficult to get flatability with smaller smaller filofaxes, but this one's not too bad, you know. It's not perfect. Neither is the Guildford Mini Extra Slim, but I'm not really using it. It's not really specifically important for a mini filofax if you're going to use it as a wallet. If you're using it as a notebook and you've got, say, your mobile phone in one hand and you're writing, then obviously it is. But for me, it isn't. But it is a nice thing. It is a nice thing, and they kept it running. They had it in their catalogue for 3 or 4 years, and I don't know whether it was a strong seller. I'd like to think that it was. It came in several colours. I haven't actually ever come across one of the sort of green or the burgundy, or I think there was a blue one. I may be wrong, but the only ones I've come across are black, which is my favourite colour of choice for a filofax, because they're very business-like, and I'm a guy. I prefer the black or brown or burgundy. They're the colours I like. But do you know what? This is a really, really nice thing. Now, as far as dimensions are concerned, there is something you need to consider, and that is the internal measurements of the rings are just 11 millimeters. Now, I know that some of the more modern mini ring sizes go up to, as I understand it, 15 millimeters. But if you think about this, one of the advantages of having smaller rings is the fact that you can accommodate this wraparound full width pocket without the width of the thickness of the filofax becoming too ridiculous. But nevertheless, let me just put that there, and you can decide. You can use either the inches or the millimeters to determine what your. I mean, we're looking at 19 millimeters width, or 19 millimeters thickness, or just over 3/4 of an inch. Anything more than that, and then, you know, is it a pocketable item? Will it go in a jeans pocket? And don't forget, you've obviously got the awkwardness of this pen loop and strap, which you do not get with, in my particular case, the Guildford Mini Extra Slim. I mean, if you have them, like, I know they neither of them have got paper in at the moment, but you can obviously see that this one is going to slide into a jeans pocket far better than this one. But notwithstanding that, I do actually use this as a wallet, and I use this as like an inbox for jotting notes down and EDC, and I have a few phone numbers in there, and I have a 5-day diary of sorts, although I'm not necessarily using that quite so much at the moment, because I'm establishing and evolving a diary, a hybrid system, which you will see in my last video, which is a whopping 45 minutes. But have a look at that and see what you think of the evolution of my paper-based productivity system that has an element of electronics to it as well. But notwithstanding that, I think this Filofax Portland, for me, it comes, if you're looking for a mini size and you are agonising over whether or not you should get a new Malden or a second-hand Malden, and you've heard various things about the quality of the Maldens not being what they were, I'll tell you what, you could do a lot worse than going for a used Filofax Portland, particularly since, in my opinion, and I have had several of these. I've had only one mini, but I've had 2 pockets and a couple of the personal size Portlands. They all exude this quality, and I'm not going overboard. I'm not going to say it's sensational quality, but it's getting close to it. You could do a lot worse. And look at this. I'm not quite sure. I haven't actually had a Malden. The only one I bought brand new, I sent back straight away because I was not impressed with the quality at all. But this has a certain something, and okay, I haven't actually spotted a coloured one, but they do come in different colours, similar to a Malden. But I would say instead of a Malden, consider acquiring a Filofax Portland Mini. I'll leave it with you, but until the next time. Okay, so if you liked my video, like and subscribe, all that good stuff. I've got some links to Patreon and my eBay page in the description below. But until next time, thank you very much for watching once again, and goodbye.